Hi, and thanks for watching. We are spiritual beings in a constant state of transformation, and sometimes change involves grief and loss. Grief is the natural response to loss. It is the emotional suffering we feel when something or someone we love is taken away. Like many, I have dealt with accidental and natural deaths as well as suicide. I also experience vicarious trauma from current events, in addition to surviving racism. So I recognize the intersection between the health pandemic and the tipping point of grief felt by my community from losses associated with systemic racism, police violence, everyday violence, and targeted violence. I empathize with the asylum seekers, the Palestinian, Muslim, and transgender communities. Unlike a global health crisis, the pandemic of anti-Black racism, xenophobia, and bigotry are not unprecedented. It is time we, as human beings, grieve and act together to create an anti-racist and inclusive global village. Here are some healthy ways to cope with the grieving process, starting with acknowledging your pain. Failing to acknowledge your grief is the equivalence of invalidating your loss. Your grief is valid. Have the courage to feel it. When you recognize and accept your pain, you help free up the heavy energy that is attached to the lost person, object, or experience. Try expressing your feelings in a creative way, such as journaling, or write a letter to the person you have lost. Say the things that you never got to say, and or transform your grief into political action. Grieving is neither forgetting nor is it drowning in sadness. Healthy grieving is the ability to remember the value of our loss, but with a fresh sense of peace rather than pain. Furthermore, understand or overstand your emotions. Grief can trigger many unexpected and overwhelming emotions such as anger, disbelief, guilt, shock, rage, and intense sadness. Grief can also disrupt your physical health, making it difficult to sleep, eat, and or think straight. These are all natural reactions to loss. Again, allow yourself the space to feel each emotion. With that said, our emotions do not last forever. They behave similar to ocean waves. They come, they go, rise, and fall. There are 5 stages to grief and loss, which are denial and isolation, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The grieving process will be unique to you. You do not necessarily go through the stages in the same order, and you do not have to go through each stage in order to feel better. Everyone grieves differently, so please seek support. Seek comfort from the Creator. Prayer and meditation can offer solace, and or participate in spiritual activities that are meaningful to you. If you are questioning your faith in the wake of your loss, please consider talking to the Creator regardless of your apprehension. I have learned that we cannot always control what happens to us in our life, but we can control how we respond to it. It's okay to ask the Creator for assistance, clarity, and strength. And believe it or not, we can also ask for help in our unbelief and or lack of faith. The Creator isn't surprised by what we think and or feel. The Creator wants to help. Also, seek out face-to-face support from people who care about you, even if it's just a video call, and or join a support group. Lastly, support yourself emotionally by taking care of yourself physically. Discover or maintain your hobbies and or interests. Continue activities that bring you joy because there is comfort in routine. Resist stress and fatigue with enough sleep, eating healthy, and exercising. When you feel better physically, you are able to cope better emotionally. Also, do not flirt with addiction. Avoid lifting your mood artificially with drugs and or alcohol. Bear in mind, you cannot selectively numb emotions. So if you numb sadness, you also numb joy. Recognize the difference between grief and depression. Keep in mind that grief involves a wide range of emotions and a mix of good and bad days. With depression, the feelings of emptiness and despair are constant. Please seek professional help from a counselor or a grief therapist if you are having suicidal thoughts such as life isn't worth living, wishing you had died with or instead of your loved one, blaming yourself for the loss or for failing to prevent it, feeling numb and disconnected from others for more than a few weeks, having difficulty trusting others since your loss, and if you are unable to perform your natural or normal activities.